Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox, and we're already at Wednesday. We've broke the week. Running already now. Looking forward to the weekend. Hey ho, still a long way to go. But we've got a whole raft of videos to do today, many different subjects. But I'm going to start on one I did a flash video for last night, which was Angela Constance announcing that there's going to be what we call a so-called independent review into sentencing proposals for criminals in Scotland. And this comes about in the backdrop of mass overfilling of the jails. They've got too many prisoners and they don't know what to do with them. They were going to build prisons, but apparently that's very hard and very expensive. Certainly that there's prisons that were meant to be opening this year and not a single brick has been laid and the cost has quadrupled. So don't hold your breath, I think. The other proposal, of course, is that they start releasing prisoners because, hey, got nowhere else to put them. Perhaps, if they had a thought about this and had seen the rising numbers, they would have just gone, hey, build me a prison, please, and then paid for it out of, I don't know, maybe the independence money. But I think it's more important for them that they push independence than keep people safe. But we'll have a look at these announcements, see what the review is going to say, and see why Angela Constance is in deep trouble with regards to justice in Scotland. Here goes. Right, so SNP Minister Angela Constance announces wholesale justice review, which could lead to less jail time for criminals. Now, what she's doing here with this wholesale justice review is her way of saying, I don't know how I can deal with this problem, so if I hand it off to other people, then whatever they say independently is what we do, as long as they arrive at the thing that it means less people in prison for shorter periods. That way, it's not my fault. It's not my fault, Gov. It's the independent people said it. She is negating her authority. She is running away from her job, and she's handing over to other people who are better suited to do it. This is clearly a woman out of her depth and with no answers to difficult questions. Perhaps she should go out of government and find a better job, one more suited to her talents. I'm sure there's a shelf somewhere that needs stocking. The Scottish Government will launch an external review onto its sentencing and prison policy due to overcrowding reports in jails, and with this including less short spells in custody for offenders. If you want to seriously reduce the numbers in jail, bring back the rope. The Scottish Government has announced a review into sentencing and prison policy in a bid to lower the number of criminals being jailed. That's not why they've announced it. Like I say, they've announced it because they have got no answers. They don't know what they're doing. SNP Justice Secretary Angela Constance confirmed the plan would be to bring in more community measures to cut down on offenders being handed short spells in custody. Yes, but getting them off the streets is often half the battle. If you actually get them off the streets, they're not in the communities committing crime. If your community punishment means they're in the community, they're still going to break the law. Her announcement came at a time when jails in Scotland are becoming increasingly overcrowded, with the population set to rise to more than 8,000 this year. If it reaches 8,500, prison bosses have warned that the cons will need to be released early, and they say without restrictions for safety reasons. Why without restrictions? Release them early, but put them on hard parole. They have to attend a booking in, say, every other day. They are not allowed to go out after 9 o'clock at night. They're not allowed to leave the home during certain hours, things like that. Why release them without restrictions? Sure, release them, free up the space, but have them very tightly restricted. That way they police themselves. Surely. I mean, I'm not stupid. I see that would be a better solution than to just let them out and they go, be free, commit more crimes. It's madness, isn't it? Critics pointed out that the SNP executive have failed to build any new institutions to house prisoners and are instead being forced to use Victorian-era premises which are not suited for modern day, such as HMP Glasgow and Inverness. The new HMP Glasgow and HMP Inverness have been delayed, with the costs spiralling 4 times as much as the original budget. And with the Inverness one, they haven't laid a brick yet, and it should have been completed. They've been putting people in it this year. It's a joke. You need Supermax. Just build 3-4 Supermax prisons. put anyone convicted of a physical crime into the supermax, maximum restrictions, and keep them in there. And if they break the rules in there, extend. You know, there's no limit. If you keep building them, if you build them, they will come. You know, and fill them up. Get the criminals off the street. Protect the safety of normal people. Scottish Tory Justice spokesman Russell Findlay did praise Miss Constance for committing to not releasing inmates early, but highlighted that her government had failed to deal with the growing issue of overcrowding in jails. Although it's very hard to find it in your heart any sympathy for prisoners. They're in there because of a reason. For, you know, actions have consequences. And the consequences for these guys is life is a bit unfortunate and tough. Look at what they've done to other people. They're paying the price, you know. He said it's important to note that each and every prisoner is behind bars due to the outcome of a robust and independent judicial process. And they're there because of their actions, what they've done, you know. He said, I'm sure that people will share my relief today that the statement did not include some plan to conduct a mass release, as we saw during the pandemic. That would be a mistake, he says. Prisoners released en masse and without support would have again resulted in significant reoffending. Recidivism is a problem, and you need to reduce recidivism, and the best way to do that for certain crimes is a bit of rope, short drop, no problem, never do it again. You release someone who R's women or abuses children. You know, once they've dangled, that'll never happen again. They will never reoffend, and that is a 100% guaranteed thing, and that's what's needed. He said part of the problem is that the SNP government has failed to build adequate prison capacity. HMP Glasgow will be years late and cost at least 400 million. It was budgeted at just over 100. It's now 4 times that, and they haven't laid a brick. You know, and this is the problem. This is what's happening. It's a government that hasn't got a clue, that doesn't know how to fund things, that looks at everything through a lens of independence and spends money on a wet dream of independence that will never ever happen. Meanwhile, this. Anyway, it said the government talks about alternatives to custody but fails to deliver them. Well, it hasn't got options, has it? It's just a government filled with incompetence, morons, criminals and psychopaths. And they talk a good game, but they can't walk the walk. You know, they cannot do it. They don't have the ability to solve the problems that they themselves create. Ms Constance said that the government could not build its way out of the problem. Yes, it can. But later confirmed the government remained committed to HMP Barlinnie's replacement. You can build your way out of the problem. Build another prison. It's not hard. It's just a lack of desire. The SNP government doesn't want to build the prison because it wants to spend the money on other things. You have to make a choice in government. That's the important thing. And which is more important? Some pipe dream of something that might happen in 100 years, or locking up the criminals today that are affecting people today. You have to make that call. But she's not capable. Like I say, she is so out of her depth. And that, of course, is why she wants this external independent review. So that it doesn't come back and bite her. She can say, well, it was the independent review. It wasn't my decision. Well, it was your decision, love. And the trouble is, you haven't got the answers to the problems you have created. Coming up. Do you think anyone in the SNP will ever be put in a position where they can do a job, where someone who is intelligent enough and experienced enough in any particular role will be able to go in and say, here's a problem, let me sort it out? I don't. I don't think any of them can. I think none of them have the ability. None of them have ever worked in the real world. None of them have ever been in a decision-making process which they've had to carry from the beginning to the end. No one's ever had a completed project which they've nursed and, you know, and coddled and brought to full fruition. They all just pass it on. I'll do this for a couple of weeks. I'll pass it on. Somebody else take it. Pass it on. Pass it on. And that's the trouble with cabinet government. Nobody is given the job day one, said, right, these are 7 problems. Pick one, sort it. That's what it takes. When you go in on day one of a job, you know, in government, you should say, right, Get your civil servants, your advisors all around. Say, list me all the problems we have to solve. Boom, 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 boom. And say, right, we ain't going to solve all these. We're just going to make half-assed job on all of them. Pick one, bang, sort that one. And if you have time, sort the next one. And then move on to your next job or whatever. And the next government comes in, they go, right, show me the problems. Pick one. And as long as you actually cure one problem in government, that's something. The trouble this lot do is they keep trying to juggle and fix, and it all falls down because nobody has the bottle to fix the problems. Nobody has the balls to call out what the problems are. Because I don't want to say what it is because I might offend someone. Be offensive, but sort the problem. Nobody cares. Anyway, stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And I will speak to you later. Bye.